everyone, if you like, you can turn on your camera, and well, we will start in a minute. But during the session, when we are doing the read aloud together, I would ask you to turn off your mic because, well, then we don't interrupt with each other. But when we, if you have any questions, well, when we are getting to the more of the interactive session, yeah, welcome to turn on your mic, your speaker, and your camera, so we feel more in person connecting with each other. Yeah, it's good to see your faces, Sarah, Joshua, and Teresa. And Petra. Hi, 大家好. And of course, well, if you choose to turn off your camera, that's also welcome too. Yeah. 好的, 好的. So, how many of you first time 第一次参加我们的 Launch and Learn 第一次 Petra, Joshua. 好的, 好的, 欢迎, 欢迎. Yeah. This is in fact the last session for the season. It's a monthly series. We've started, wow, April 2020. It's amazing. We've been running these sessions on a monthly basis. So welcome new friends, and also thanks for all of you who have been together with us. It's a cold winter coming. So we have selected a poem that's specifically related to the theme of the winter. We've been reading poems related to the season along the way already. But this one is really about cold winter. So we will jump into that right away, but just quickly, I can see we still are having people joining us. I will share my screen. My name is Shen Zhan. I'm the head of School of Chinese Studies at China Institute. We are located in New York, and we actually at the end of today's session, we will share information about an in-person program in New York at China Institute. And I hope for all of you who are in New York, who can come to downtown or feel you want to come to downtown, we welcome you to that event. It's a China Institute Literati Salon. That's very much in alignment with the kind of activities we do online here at Launch and Learn, but we want to bring that to life in person. So I will share that, and I can see Lin Laoshi, Yongqiang just posted the link to the event in the chat room. You feel free to look into more information, and also about the chat box. If you have any questions during the session, feel free to post your comments or questions in the chat box. Both Lin Laoshi and I will monitor the chat box during the session and try to get back to you. If not during the session, we will be able to address through emails or other means as well. OK, 好的。最后我还想问一下， how many of you are in New York? 有多少人在纽约 ？Yeah. Yeah. 好的 ，Yeah. Hi Marilyn， 你也不在纽约？哦
，Marilyn 不在。
有从费城来的 ，Teresa 在费城。Yeah. Yeah. So well, we will continue the monthly Lunch and Learn online for the spring season. But let's get into the topic of today. Let me give you 1 second. I will share my screen. So everybody can see my screen, right? 对不对？大家都可以看见。好的。所以今天我们要读的诗 ，Today the poem we are reading is 江雪 River Snow. And from the title, you can probably feel the coldness of the water over and also the snow. Have some sense of the temperature. Let me turn. So Zhang Xue, the author, the poet is Liu Zongyuan. As well, we can see from the time, he's another poet from Tang Dynasty. Liu Zongyuan is in fact more famous for his prose instead of poems. But Jiang Xue, River Snow, is I would say one of his most famous quatrain, which also very short, just 4 lines, 绝句 quatrain. We will see very soon. Oh, hold on 1 second. Sorry. I just have to show you how I work. Okay, slides. Here. Hold on. Yeah, that should be. So as you can see, I mentioned it's a 绝句 quatrain, 4 lines, and this is a pentasyllabic quatrain, 5 characters for each line. And let me just go back to this a little bit. I mentioned the translation on this slide is adapted from William Nienhauser, and etc. There's the process was, well, when we were looking at the translation of this poem, even though as short as it is, I'm now inviting you to take a look at the English translation as well. It's very hard to find one that from one translation that really to the full satisfaction. So I had to take some liberty to adapt some words. So looking at the original translation, but also some other translators, including those that we have studied from, like Chinese translator Xu Yuanchong, or the English speaking translators, including Burton Watson, and then come together with this translation. If you have any thoughts or ideas in terms of the English part that doesn't make much sense or not poetically beautiful, please let us know. It's really, even though we are looking at one original Chinese version, there are many versions of translation as always. So for now, I will first demonstrate the read-aloud part of this poem. I will read the entire poem first, but don't worry, then we will go into the read-aloud part line by line and character by character. So just to get a sense of the entirety of this poem first. 江雪，千山鸟飞绝，万径人踪灭。孤舟蓑笠翁，独钓寒江雪。Now, let's go into each line. I will read twice. The first time I will pause after each character. The second time I will pause after each line, and you can repeat after me. And also, by the way, the entire session is recorded. So if you want to go back to the pronunciation and the poem reading, you can always go to our YouTube channel, or of the previous sessions are there as well. And this is the part I was inviting you to turn off your mic at the beginning of the session. 千山鸟飞绝，千山鸟飞绝。One thing I want to mention is here we have the character 千, literally means 1,000. So the translation here we can see 1,000 mountains. The question I will propose is, do you think Liu Zongyuan is really talking about 1,000 mountains here? If not, what does it mean here? What did he try to imply here? All right, next one. 万境人宗灭，万境人宗灭。Again, here in this line, we have 10,000. So are we really talking about 10,000 paths here? Next one. 孤舟蓑笠翁，孤舟蓑笠翁。This is the most troubling line for me, at least. So if you look at the literal translation, which is highlighted in blue here, 蓑 is literally straw rain cape coat. It's a raincoat that in the shape of a cape and made of straw. And li is a hat that's made of bamboo. So if we, in Chinese, it's really just a single syllable here, right? But if we were to translate in a more accurate way, then we will have a very long translation that in a long boat, there's an old man in straw raincoat and bamboo hat. So after reviewing many versions, we settled with this line, and hopefully it captures the meaning while to keep it as brief as the Chinese version. Next one, and also the last line, 独钓寒江雪，独钓寒江雪。So this is the most this is a line that inviting the most imagination to my understanding, because well here, 钓 is a verb, to fish or fishing. And then we have snow here. For the fisherman, is he fishing the fish, or as indicated in this translation, fishing snow? Let's look at the entire poem one more time, and we can read this together. 江雪，千山鸟飞绝，万径人踪灭。孤舟蓑笠翁，独钓寒江雪。That's the poem. So for the questions that I posed, 千 and 1, are we talking about the real numbers here? Can anyone, if you want, open your mic and share your thoughts? 有没有人?
Does it mean like many? Like a lot of?
Exactly. Thank you, Xiaoan. Yeah, in a lot of time, while 千 and 1, especially in Chinese idiomatic expressions or poems, are not really the literal numbers. It really is just to symbolize many of the mountains and the paths, or even all of, to give that sense of vastness. As here also to contrast with this one lone fisherman in the entire scene.
Chen Shan, I have the feeling that he is surrounded by mountains. So many that, of course, he can use Chen, but to me, Chen is kind of like a circle of mountains.
Oh, can you explain a little bit more why Qian particularly have that kind of surroundingness to you?
I think it's the sound of the word. Well, first of all, he is not necessarily up high, but there are, as the person before me said, so many mountains. But if you just can't have mountains piled on mountains. To me, it's a view, so that you have, like, it's a surrounding view. But how to translate it is something else. I mean, you
exactly.
Could say, surrounded by mountains, it's a little awkward.
Right. Well, thank you, Marilyn, to also mention the sound, because it is important that the sound, the image of the characters, and also the meaning of the characters, well, they all come together. And in this particular case, Qian, it's the sort of high pitch tone. So even to me, I feel Qian feels a little bit, it gives the, when we say it, it gives that kind of sensibility that's going up there. And then the next one, it goes down. So you have the, like, with the pitch of the pronunciation, you have that kind of drop from the first tone to the fourth tone. 千山 as versus 万径, and you have that depth, even in terms of the pronunciation here in this poem, to add the meaning and also the rhythm, the musical part of the reading itself. Anyone else? Or maybe we just read this one more time without pinyin there. 江雪 柳宗元 千山鸟飞绝 万径人踪灭 孤舟蓑笠翁 独钓寒江雪 So the last line, 独钓寒江雪, the question was, is he fishing the fish or is he fishing the snow? I want to have you keep that in your mind as well. We move on to the next part, which we will write a character. If you have your pen and paper, you can get ready. I have my pen here. As usual, it's the little brush pen that I got. But this is not a calligraphy demonstration. I'm not a calligrapher, but I want to maybe have more of the interaction. We can do some hands-on. As I mentioned, the image, the writing part of the characters are very important. I cannot write, we don't have time to write the entire poem, but there is one character I want to introduce here. Which is highlighted here. Can anyone say the name, how to pronounce this character?
Han.
Han.
Han. Han. This is the, well, we are writing everything here in simplified characters, which is the current form or version that we are using in mainland China. In some other parts of the Chinese speaking areas, while the traditional version, some of you may know, are still in use, but this Han is the same. Simplified and traditional versions are the same. We can see, but this is not the very original version. I wouldn't say this is the original version, but this is a very old version that's coming from as early as 100 AD. And there was a book that I mentioned for this entire season I have been referring to, 说文解字, by a scholar in Han Dynasty around 100 AD. He collected the characters, almost 3,000 of them at the time, to really trace the origin and dissect the meaning of the characters, because it is pictographic, and every character we can look into the meaning of how it comes together. So this is the version that appears in that book for the character Han. And this is a calligraphy, actually. I didn't write this one, and it's not just a random version. This is a calligraphy by a calligrapher in Qing Dynasty, 18th to 19th century, Wu Xizai. So if we look at how this character is written, the top part, this part, is indicating a roof up there. And there is a content underneath the roof. The top part, we can see there are some like curves here. And it's not the first time we saw this. Actually, some of you, if you've been to the first session, this is indicating some kind of related to plants. So here it's particularly, it's straw. And there are some other similar images here, longer, but also signify straw. In between, there is, what do you think this looks like? Anyone? So you have straw, layers of straw. On the top, layers of straw. At the bottom, in the roof, under a roof. So that indicates in a house. What could be in the middle?
The beams.
Could be all these lines. So that's a good guess, Marilyn.
就不知道。
And Han, keep in mind, what's the meaning of Han? 记不记得寒是什么意思？
冷 cold, very cold.
冷 cold. So can beings feel the coldness?
No.
So who can feel the coldness?
人
人，人，对的，
是一个人吗？
是一个人。So if you, it's not a standing person. If
Oh.
you're thinking somebody who's lying in between, this is almost like the profile of a person, and this could be a hand, right? I didn't even realize that when I first looked at this. But well, by looking at the explanation of Xu Shen, I was like, yeah, this makes sense. And the more I look at it, the more it feels like a person is sort of like, well, curled up, like what we do. And in between straws, layers of straws to keep warmth. And then the bottom part, actually, we can see it becomes the 2 dots in the current version. That simplifies the coldness, the icy coldness, the ice, in fact. So when we look at a lot of characters indicating coldness, especially ice, Bing, for example, and we will see 2 dots related to that. So that's to further indicate this is about the meaning of coldness. So here we have really this version in the house. It's so cold that people, they don't have heaters at the time. So people have to really come up ways, lying, covering under layers of straws to keep warm. And that becomes the meaning of Han. And we can see in the current version, we still have the roof and the layers becoming the vertical and horizontal lines. The person still here. As we know how we write 人, that's exactly the 2 lines there. And then we have the 2 dots. 所以这就是今天我们学的字 the character, the etymology of the character 寒. I want to show, so even though this is the, we call this the seal style, 篆书 from Han Dynasty. In fact, as I mentioned, this form, the traditional and the simplified version are the same today. I'm showing a few different versions of the same character from different time in China's history. This Wang Xizhi well, we can see this is like crazy cursive style. We can not even, if I was not told this is the character Han, I wouldn't even recognize. But we can still see this sort of rooftop part, and then he just like, well, making these crazy curved lines to indicate all the content underneath the roof. And this is more of a running style, 行书, by his son, Wang Xianzhi. So both of them are famous calligraphers in China's history in Jing Dynasty. That's around 300 to 400 AD, already 200 years after this. And then this last one is from actually a Tang Dynasty calligrapher, Chu Suiliang. It's closer, almost exactly the same as the version we're looking at today. Except that the two dots, the IC code part, are connected. It's a little bit of running style there, but the top part is exactly the same as Kaishu. That's you can see all the lines very clearly. Each line is connected, but not in a running or cursive way. And he's from a Tang dynasty. That's from 8th to 10th century. So already 1,000 years ago, more than 1,000 years ago, this version has already established. Now, I would invite you to take out your paper. I have to stop sharing my screen a little bit so that I can share my writing pad. This paper. So maybe Yongqiang, can you, Lin Laoshi, thank you very much. So I have the paper here. So everybody can see, right? And if you have your pen and paper, let's write the character Han together. I will try to write as big as possible. So again, for the seal version, I will write the seal version. Picture that as what we are just drawing a picture, because it's not going to be the same stroke order as we write the current version of Han. So the first we will draw the seal version together. I will do the roof part. The first line, half of the roof, and then trying to keep it symmetrical, and you really have to control your pen or brush to make it even. And then the first layer of the straw. We'll do this. And then the other part. Today, this style, the seal style, is a major genre of the calligraphy. People really invest time and effort to master this style in a way, the way that it's written, the techniques that are applied are very different from just writing a regular Chinese character. As well, other styles also, like running style or cursive style, the two sort of more cursive version we saw, also not necessarily following the stroke order as we write the characters today. All right, so now the person. Curled up and sleeping or lying underneath the straw layer. And then the bottom part other. Don't forget the icy dots.
I think the hardest part is making the roof symmetrical. Yours is quite symmetrical.
Thank you. I still, I always feel when I write to the left part, it's easier than the right part.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's my seal style Han. Yeah, and I feel this part, so the real calligraphers, they would never go back and retouch their character. Once the line is drawn, that's it. You
That's
cannot
it.
go back. Yeah, you cannot go back. But here, because I feel I have to go back here a little bit because it's really not symmetrical here. Because I really want to make this two-part. But to your point, Marilyn, it's really hard, actually. It does take practice to get to the point that it's symmetrical, and also the even line part. You feel, I feel when I was writing, I have to control the muscles of the fingers as well as the wrist to make it happen. Even with this kind of brush, which is cheating. The real calligraphers, they will use the bamboo brush pen with the brush part oftentimes made of horse or sheep or even wolf hair, fur.
很
Okay.
漂亮。
哦，谢谢。
还是很漂亮。
Maybe could we have a calligraphy class?
Oh, thank you, Marilyn. We do have actually in winter time, in winter semester, our school is offering a calligraphy class in person at China Institute.
How about online?
We will look into that. We have to find a calligraphy teacher, an instructor who can teach online.
Well,
Yeah,
I
but
know Ben is offering the etymology, but
yes.
and he will we will encourage him to 用毛笔来写, but I think that's different from having the class participate.
Right.
You're inviting us now.
Right. This is to give everybody a little taste, because I would hope that I'm qualified to teach calligraphy, which I'm not. But this is to give a taste, because I feel writing and even like read aloud involves our whole body. The way that we pronounce and read, the vibration of the voice, and involving the hand, the muscles, and everything. This is more of a experience of the language than just reading or learning the meanings of the language.
That's the way to memorize the character traditionally, isn't it? By writing it. and getting the stroke order correct. And
Right, the stroke order is very important to memorize the characters, especially to anyone who's literate in Chinese language. Writing and reading, you have to at least master like 3,000 and more to at the very basic level. So the way that we draw this seal style, please don't follow because then you don't remember how to write it. This is a form of practicing calligraphy. But to learn how to write the current version of Han, I will do another one here, and I will follow the current stroke order. So for language students, especially, to learn how to write Han, this is the order that we will do now. 好吧? So let's do a current version, the dot of the roof. The general rule is from top to bottom, from left to right. So if you go with that, overall, you are on the right path. We don't have like 1,000 paths here. It's just memorize one, that helps you. Okay, the roof part, we do the dot on the left first. And then this one. And then we do the 3 layers first. And usually when you have 3 lines, you make the first one a little longer than the second one. And the third one is usually always the longest. And then you do the vertical line here. And now the person part. So with this brush, I can still do a little bit. You can see if you push the brush harder at the top, it's solid, and then you make it lighter, and you have this kind of movement you can see here. And then this is Pie, if we name the stroke order Pie. And then the other side is Na. Also, you can push it harder and lighter, and you have that pointed angle there. And then the dots start lighter, and you push it harder. And then that's it. The last dot. 谢谢小安，很好。你用什么笔写的？ What kind of pen are you using?
我用一个书法笔。
毛笔吗？
毛笔，sure, it's called, because it's called Italic Creative. Got it on, I think I got it at like Amazon or something. Works pretty good.
Yeah, great. 好的, so this is our 2 characters, Han, the seal version, and the 楷书, we call that. What's the English for that? 楷书, this is the
regular or standard.
Regular, thank you. It's like, what's the word? Standard, that's like 标准, regular style. Yeah.
I have a question about mir. I'm just looking it up, but my dictionary is 简字. So but I'd like to know the full way to write mir.
Which mir? Oh, the 万尽人踪灭.
第二行.
So then let's go back.
It's simplified so much that you just see the 火.
对的。Let me.
I don't have.
Oh, the simplified version of 灭 here. Let me show to. So 万境人踪灭 here. This is the character Marilyn is talking about. 灭, well, literally. Let's go back to them. Yeah, here, 灭. Literally, the meaning is distinguish. Like if you want to put off a fire, you say 灭火. So the simpler version, as what we can see here, is this version. Let me just, oops, sorry.
I'm looking for the full version because.
Yeah. Let me just get. I have to consult how to write as well as you mentioned. Me, just one second. Yeah. Okay. So can Yongqiang, Lin 老师,
I found it.
can you pin my pad? I can write on the pad. Thank you. Okay. So.
Yeah. The interesting thing is that it has a water radical as well as 火.
Right.
That's the interesting part.
So here is 灭, the simplified version. And you really have 火. This is one character, it's the fire underneath. And you have this one line on the top, still simplifies. It's the 火, the fire is being put under control. But the traditional version, the older version here is, so you have 3 dots. Because what would you use to put off a fire?
水,要用水.
对的. So you have the water radical on the side and this is really the part that is reserved for the entire character today, for me. Yeah. So this, in terms of stroke order, is more complicated. We started from the left, and then for this part, it's really, you have the outside, you go first, and then finish the middle part, and then close with the side part on the very right. So still, in general, left to right, but this part is getting, yeah, getting to the point you have to memorize that.
It's interesting when the character is simplified to see which part of it was chosen. Because the original 灭, one can see the meaning, but the sound is not related here, is it?
I have to look into that actually, because I can sort of relate to, this is 火, the fire is here, you still put something on top of it to put it under control. It could be using soil, because in the ancient time, there is no extinguisher. How do you put off the fire? Either water or you put soil on top of it. And remember when we have the word for soil, 土, really it's just lines,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's just lines. So this line could be similar meaning as the line in the soil to indicate that. And we also have 水 here. But what all these other parts and how it's related to the sound of 灭, I have to look into that. And wow, it will be next year or through emails. I will get back to you. But these are all very good questions. Also, when the characters are simplified, it's not following one rule. It's not one person making the decision. In 1950s, in mainland China, when this whole simplified character movement were taking place, because like Han, from over 1,000 years ago, it's the same. We cannot change or drop any line to further simplify that. So it's the same as it is. For some characters, they even used the, let's say, cursive style, because cursive style from over 1,000 years ago, the calligraphers already started to simplify the way that they write characters. So some of the characters in 1950s, they simply just apply those cursive style way of writing the character and simplify that way. And some others, they may just take the one meaningful part out of a more complicated characters. Maybe it's the case of this one. It's all these other parts, yeah, it makes sense, but this one makes sense too. So let's just use that. And we don't have to remember all those other parts. And I have to say, this process happens all the time. As some of you may remember, when we learned the character Qiu, autumn, the first poem we read, Qiu, we have the He, the sorghum or the crops on the left hand, and then we have Huo, the fire on the other part. Remember at the very beginning, this was a very complicated character. I don't even remember how to write it because there is a insect part. In autumn season, when ancient people using fire to set the dried crops after harvest on fire, the insects were getting burned as well. So that part was there too. And it was literally the profile of an insect there. But over the time, it was dropped. And then these kind of changes happen throughout the history. So when we are looking at the current version of either simplified or traditional Chinese characters, just keep in mind, we are still part of a living process. All right, let me just quickly, we have only 5 minutes. I just want to quickly go back to our slide and share, because one image here. This is part of a painting from Jiang Song, a Ming Dynasty brush painting artist. Well, frankly speaking, he's not the most famous one in China's history, but this painting of him, especially this part of him, of this painting, really shows that lone fisherman and the way that he pictured the snow in the river, on the mountains surrounding, or the rocks are just leaving the space, the white space here, as against the different layers of bushes or trees. And this is exactly what, this is the Li, the bamboo hat and the cape. The 蓑笠翁独钓寒江雪. This is only part of it. It's actually, you can go to the mat. It's on display. You can see the entire scroll, which is over 7 meters long. So there are many different details and parts that you can dive into the winter scene, that this lone fisherman is just one of the parts there. So we don't have a lot of time, but we still have the game that Lin Laoshi prepared. So if you would like to stay, please do. Before you go, I just want to again mention there are actually 2 programs that I want to mention. One is the Literati Salon that Lin Laoshi has shared the link. It's going to be having like all of the music, calligraphy, and the poetry reading part in person. So if you are in New York, I look forward to see you there. Of course, so we are watching the development of the situation very closely. This program is moving on as planned. And if any changes, we will inform everyone. And please be fully vaccinated, and we hope to see you there. And another program and also a course that Mandarin has already mentioned is an etymology class that our senior lecturer, Mr. Ben Wang, will give. I apologize for this. So this will start. This is a workshop that we will give for teachers, but all the general public are also welcome to join. There's a course in winter starting in January. That's a 10-session course that will be focusing on the etymology. 字里乾坤中国的文字. So if you're interested in learning in more depth the etymology part of Chinese characters, I would highly recommend this course. Okay, sorry, Lin Laoshi, I've taken up all the time. So as the last part of our session, this would go over our usual 1 hour, but this is also our last session for this season, the 4th season of 2021. If you would like to stay, please do so. And otherwise, we will restart Lunch and Learn in February. 好的，那
So
林老
it's my
师，
time now.
对的，对的。
好，谢谢。Okay, everyone. So I have prepared some questions for you based on what you have learned today. So it's very simple, but we hope you have some fun from there. So, first thing you need to do is take out your phone. So it's better for you to have your phone. And type, just type it here, Kahoot. Kahoot.8 and then enter. So you will see this image. So the pin number is here. So put the pin number 859725 859725. So you will have the access to enter our game. So yeah. 我们等一会儿, let's wait for a few, maybe 1 minute to let more people join our game. So if you use your laptop to play this game, so you have to switch back and forth between the Kahoot and the Zoom. So because you will see the question and the answer on the Zoom, but you have to answer it on your phone or on your page. 8个人，8个人，还有人吗 ？More people? 9个，还有吗？还有吗？9个 ，OK， 10个人 ，OK。So 因为时间 because of the time limited, so let's start. Ready? 准备好。哦，12，还有吗？还有吗？好，我们开始。So you will see the question and the answer. So you have to answer it on your phone or on the page. First question. 千山 something 飞绝。111 the last one. 什么？哦，都对了。哎，有一个人错了。So it's 鸟，鸟飞绝，千山鸟飞绝。好，下一个我们看一看谁第一。So your score will be based on your answer and also your speed. How quickly you answer, you click the answer. 第二个。So it's a little bit hard, but I put the whole point there. So you can take a look and make a match. So what is the following line? 好，孤舟蓑笠翁。哦，11个全对，很好，很好。独钓寒江雪。好，我们看看丙还是第一。下一个。你还记得吗 ？Do you still remember this Chinese character? 11个。是什么？韩 ，right? It's 韩 ，it's still version of 韩。So 很好，11个人都对，有一个人错了。第4个，他们是一个字吗 ？Are they the same Chinese character? 对，是的，都是什么？都是韩，一个是cursive style，一个是 running style。好，下一个看看谁哦，Lulu，很好。第5个。So what emotion does the right not express in this poem? It's not. Oh, sorry, my fault. It should be the first happy. It's not in first. Sorry, it's me, so it's happy. Sorry. But yeah, we can feel sad, lonely, especially lonely and sorrow in this poem, but not happy. Let's go back to the poem to see which of the following Chinese characters represent numbers. Only one correct numbers. 什么 one 对 one is 10,000 one。下一个。It's very long. 孤舟蓑笠翁，独钓寒江雪。This one should be very easy, yeah? 不难。一个， so only one person. 独钓寒江雪 so should be alone, so 只有一个人。好，还有一个 the last question, 最后一个问题。quick, 快一点。I chose a different painting for the season. Yeah, 11个是冬，全对了，冬天 winter。好，谢谢。Yep, that's all the questions for today. Yeah, my fault. One of the questions the answer is on, so we still have our champion here. 谢谢，恭喜！好 ，runners up， 小安和伊扎。OK， 好了。
好，谢谢林老师。也谢谢大家参加我们 Lunch and Learn. Well, hope you had some fun for the sessions and also with the game. 好的，今天咱们的 Lunch and Learn 就到这里。林老师 and I will stay around for a couple of minutes. If you have further questions, welcome to chat with us. But otherwise, I hope I will either see you on December 17th or continuing our online next year. When the time is around Chinese New Year, we will plan our first Lunch and Learn for the winter.